Welcome in, Aggie fans. Adam Young with you. Head men's basketball coach Chris Jans is alongside. We're here today to talk about the 2018-19 men's basketball schedule. We'll go at it game by game here in a moment, but first, Coach, your overall thoughts on the schedule. 31 regular season games and two big opponents coming here to Las Cruces, St. Mary's and also Washington State.
Yeah, we're pleased with how our schedule turned out. You know, we try to make it challenging. We want to make it tough on our guys. We want to have great opportunities for our program, just like we did last year, and to get the quality of opponents to come to the Pan American Center for our home slate is just awesome. We're looking forward to the challenges and to have 17 home games. You know, that's a lot of home games for our fans to come out and support our team. So it's a little daunting right now, but we're certainly looking forward to it.
I know it's not easy to make a full schedule, but was your biggest thing going in, try to make it as challenging as possible for your team?
Yeah, I think as long as you know, we're here, I think that's important to us as coaches. I think when we recruit these young men, we promise them that they're going to have opportunities to play against great competition before we get into our conference slate. And as a coach, you know, I like to see where we're at. And I think having those opportunities at a program like New Mexico State is what moves the needle. You know, last year, obviously, we had some big wins that got people nationally talking about us, and you have to have those opportunities to get, you know, the national media to notice you, and I think that's important to have those options as the season progresses.
All right, time now to go game by game in the non-conference slate, and then we'll head into the WAC schedule as well. You open up, Coach, November 6th, and it's North Dakota State, so not a big-name opponent for people around here, but it's a really good mid-major program. 19 wins or more in 5 of the previous 6.
Yeah, Coach Richmond's been there a while, and he's got an established program, and I think it's a great opener for us. It's a solid, you know, mid-major basketball program that we get to host, you know, on our home floor. So we're certainly think we have a really good home opener to start the season.
You get 2 games this year against UTEP, 2 against New Mexico again. UTEP November 9th, so that's an early game, game 2, and you have the Miners here in Las Cruces.
It'll be tough for us just because it's a new coach, new program, kind of like what we posed for our opponents last year. Having a new system early, I think, helped us, and it's going to be hard for us to prepare for them. We won't have a lot of film, a lot of information to prepare for their team, but again, we get to host them this year to start the series, so it'll be nice to play them at home first.
You open up with 3 home games, so you go North Dakota State, UTEP, and then St. Mary's, which is a big-time opponent coming here. A perennial top 25 program, 30 wins last year. That could be a really good game.
Yeah, it's an awesome home game. You know, we're very hopeful that the fans recognize the quality of a program like St. Mary's. To be able to come in to play us on our home floor is a big deal. I mean, they're a perennial top 25 program. Coach Bennett's one of the most respected basketball coaches in the country. And, you know, they've been winning 25, 30 games on the regular, and certainly they're in a league where Gonzaga gets a lot of the ink, but they battle them each and every year, and we'll have our hands full. And then again, to be able to start our season with 3 home games in a row and to top it off with a team like St. Mary's coming here, I think is just a great way to start the basketball season. Your
first road game is at New Mexico, November 17th, so these new guys who don't know about the pit, they're going to be put into it right away.
Yeah, obviously, you know, we realize the importance of these games. Certainly heard a lot about it before last year's season, and then to be able to experience these rivalry games they're awesome. I mean, it's what you play for. It's what you're going to remember as a coach. It's what the players are going to remember. They're going to remember the postseason, but they're going to remember these 4 games every year. And we realize the importance that these games are in the state. We understand the weight that they hold for our fan base, and therefore they're really important to us as well. And you know, we came back from behind last year to win the game, and I think that experience hopefully will help our returnees. And but it'll be our first road test, and what a challenge for us to go on the road for the first time.
You come back home on November 21st. You have Eastern New Mexico, then back on the road a week later at UTEP. So you're going to play UTEP twice in the first month of the season. You did that last year as well. Do you kind of treat that like conference play because you're playing one opponent twice in, really a couple of weeks?
Like you said, we did it last year, but it was even a quicker turnaround. We had no games in between our UTEP ball games last year, although they had 1 game in between. So we've been there, done that. I think we'll have a lot more information, a lot more video. We'll know them better the second time around. And it's also a stretch where we don't play a lot of games, just how the schedule came together. It wasn't by choice, or it was just more by chance. So we'll have plenty of time to prepare them for the second game going over there.
Two really exciting home games in early December. We'll start with Washington State, a Pac-12 school coming to Las Cruces. That's a huge deal on December 1st.
It is. You know, I've told Mario any time we have the opportunity to play any Power 5 school and they're willing to come to the Pan American, I'll take it. Don't ever ask me. And we certainly work together on putting the schedule together every season. But yeah, for them to come here, we have to return the game next year to Pullman. But to get a Power 5 to come and play in your barn, I just, again, feel like our knowledgeable fans will recognize how important that is for us to have a home court advantage for those big games. And they always turn out for the rivalry games, but we expect the same for St. Mary's and Washington State.
Just a couple of days later, December 4th, New Mexico comes here. You beat them twice last year. Do you view that as one of your better accomplishments a season ago?
I just thought it was important, because of the circumstances and being a new coach and understanding how important this rivalry was, especially when we hosted them. To win that game, I thought it kind of won over the fan base, so to speak, for our staff and our team. And you could feel the pressure internally of what that game meant to this city and to this program. And certainly they're always going to be important. But last year, again, because of the circumstances, I thought they were huge for us.
December 8th, Kansas City. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a lot of hype because it's Kansas. They're preseason 1 or 2, depending on the early polls that you look at. And everybody knows their program. It's a blue blood. We're going to play them at the Sprint Center, which is an advantage for us rather than playing them, at their home court at Fog Allen. But it'll be on ESPN. I think it's already been scheduled for ESPN2. It'll be a night game, so everybody in the country will be watching it, and it'll end a 3-game stretch of wow. Washington State, Power 5, and then up to our host New Mexico, and then turn around and play Kansas. It'll be quite a week for us.
You'll get some time off after Kansas, but you're going to get ready for a really good Northern Colorado team to come to Las Cruces. Pencil in December 17th. This is a program that won 30 games last year and won the CIT, so might not be a huge name like Kansas, but it's a really good mid-major.
Yeah, they're not going to get quite the fanfare nationally, and people that really follow college basketball will understand how good they are, but the casual fan maybe won't, like you mentioned. But their coach has been there a while, and he's got his program in place. And like you said, they won a ton of games last year, and they won one of the lesser-known tournaments in the postseason. That usually, jump starts the next season. So we'll have our hands full with those guys at home.
That Northern Colorado game is part of the Continental Tire Vegas Classic. The Aggies will also have a home game as part of that classic against CSUN a couple days later. Cal State Northridge. Reggie Theus, who used to be at New Mexico State, used to be at CSUN, and that was kind of the connection there, right?
Yeah, we were trying to bring Reggie back to Las Cruces and play a game against the Aggies. We thought that'd be a neat game to play, and that's why we scheduled the game. Unfortunately, he's not the coach there anymore, but they hired a veteran coach. Former NC State head coach that is obviously, getting his feet underneath him. But it's like you said, it's part of that Las Vegas tournament as well as Northern Colorado.
So then you head to Vegas. And before we talk about those opponents, I want to talk about where you're going to play. You're playing at Orleans Arena, which could benefit you because that's where you play in the conference tournament. Was that the thinking behind that?
That was the main reason why we played in that particular NTE. Last year we were in Hawaii and played in the Diamond Head Classic, which was a big boost for us media-wise. And then this year we had the opportunity to have a little bit different approach and play at the Orleans, where obviously we play the conference tournament, and to be able to sleep in those beds, for 3 or 4 more nights, and to play in that court for 2 more games. To have shoot-arounds there, to get comfortable with the surroundings. Certainly it's not something that we're going to do every year, but I thought it was a good attraction for us, and it made sense for us this particular year to do that with 10 new faces. So we were excited when we had the opportunity to play in the Orleans in a similar format that you do in the conference tournament with back-to-back games.
I know Aggie fans love going to Vegas, so this could be a good Christmas trip, December 22nd, 23rd. Your first opponent is Drake, and you know this program very well from your Missouri Valley Conference days, and now they have a new head coach who you know well.
Yeah, Darren DeVries, known him a long, long time. He played at University of Northern Iowa. He was at Creighton forever when I was in the Valley, so he's put in his dues, and he's certainly ready to to lead his own program. And what they've done is they had some momentum, with the coach previous, Niko Medved, who went to Colorado State. And he took over the program, but they had some momentum because of the wins that he amassed. And then he went out and assembled a great staff and brought some really good players with them. So they're going to be a good team. I think they'll be surprise a lot of people with the talent they've brought in. So it's a great opponent for us out of a respected conference in the Missouri Valley.
So you'll play 2 games in 2 days there at the Orleans, December 22nd and the 23rd. You don't know your opponent yet for the 23rd, either Washington State again or San Diego for a second straight year.
Yeah, great field. We talked about Drake and then another Power 5 team in Washington State with, we could end up playing them twice. Or a San Diego team that beat us at home last year. So quality opponents. But the most important thing for me is 1, the venue, and 2, having the opportunity to play back-to-back. So it prepares you for a conference tournament setting, which you don't get prepared for through the normal course of a season with having 2, 3, 4, 5 days in between games. So preparing your staff for quick turnarounds, preparing your players for quick turnarounds in terms of scouting reports and quick preps, I think is huge once you get into the conference tournament time.
And then you have a week off for Christmas. You come back, then you go to Colorado State on December 30th. You mentioned Niko Medved, their new head coach. That can be a tough place to play there in Fort Collins.
Yeah, I think the week off is music to our players' ears. Certainly we enjoyed our trip to Hawaii last year, but we were in the midst of a huge travel time for us, and none of our guys were able to go home for Christmas. That's kind of the negative side of playing in that tournament. So this year they'll get some days off, which I know they're looking forward to, and I think our staff will be looking forward to it as well. But like you said, when we return, we get right back at it and have to travel to Fort Collins to finish a contract with them and play a new coach that's a very successful coach. This is his 3rd Division I head coaching program that he's running, and they inherited some good players. And like you mentioned, it's got a reputation of being a pretty tough place to play.
So let's recap December. This could be a gauntlet. Washington State, New Mexico, Kansas, Northern Colorado, CSUN, Drake, Washington State or San Diego, and Colorado State. You're going to know a lot about your team heading into conference play.
Yeah, it was great putting it together. It was exciting. It's fun to talk about, but as you get in the middle of preparation, which we're getting close to, it gets a little scary. I mean, there's just no gimmies. There's no gimmies on our schedule. We're going to have to be really on top of our game each and every time out, which is what you want. I mean, I want our team to be challenged. I want to know where we're at. I want to see how we stack up to other programs across the country. And in the end, I want to have our program have opportunities to show the world that, we can play with anybody.
You don't have any control over the WAC schedule, so it is what it is. I just want to get your thoughts on what you saw last year in the WAC and what do you expect to see this year?
Obviously, I thought the WAC had a really good year number-wise. I think we were ranked 14th as a league, which is higher than probably historically what it's been ranked as a conference. So I think these programs that have allowed these coaches like at UMKC and UTRGV and Utah Valley, have some years to get their kids in and to recruit well, have improved. And then certainly the addition of Grand Canyon has really helped the RPI of the league. So I was impressed with the quality of coaching. The thing that probably stuck out the most was how hard it is to play on the road. It's been a long time since I had been in a league where you had a travel partner and you traveled Wednesday, played Thursday, traveled Friday, and played Saturday. And that Saturday game with the Friday travel and try to get him to practice and preparing in a very short notice is really, really hard. So I think that experience will help me prepare our teams better for those Saturday road games.
All right, some notable home conference dates, January 10th and 12th. The Aggies will have Grand Canyon and Bakersfield, and then 3 straight conference games, the 14th, the 16th, and the 23rd of February. Coach, we'll finish with this. Your overall thoughts on what your team looks like right now as you're a couple weeks away from practice.
We've got a lot of good players. As a coach, at least for me, it's important to have competition up and down the roster. I think that's how you get better quicker by having guys having to go against very good players in practice, and we've accomplished that with our recruiting. I think our depth is better than it was a year ago. I'm not sure we have as high end of players like with Jamario and Zach departing. I've never been around a program, I've never experienced it, of losing not just the player of the year, but player of the year and second place for player of the year. It's one thing to lose a couple all-league players, but to lose 1 and 2 and the vote getters for Player of the Year is just something I've never heard of. So we've got some huge shoes to fill, and it won't be one person doing that. It'll be by committee. Certainly, Johnny McCants' injury was a huge setback for him personally and for our program. The only silver lining in it is that we have to learn to play without him, and we have the whole preseason to play without him. It's not like we've played 10, 12 games and all of a sudden we've got to reinvent ourselves. So we know where that's at, and we know the prognosis of that, so we can adjust and have plenty of time to understand how we have to play without him. But it's a good group to coach. They're receptive to coaching. They're high quality kids. Certainly we have a long way to go with 10 new faces to Aggie basketball, but I like where we're at as we sit here in early September.
Coach, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
That's NM State men's basketball head coach Chris Jans.